Always be humble enough to learn something new. Otherwise, it's only a matter of time before your knowledge is outdated. Clinton Anderson. The starting process of getting a horse going and becoming broke is a humble one. If it teaches you anything, it would be patience. You learn to grow with the horse and have an unbreakable bond. They teach you more about yourself than possibly anything else in life. It's a feeling that I believe everyone should feel at least once in their life. When starting a horse, you want, especially if it's going to be your horse, you want to have that connection with them from the get-go. You want them to be quiet around you. You want them to trust you. And the first steps in kind of getting this process started is the haltering and leading process. You want to kind of around 3 or 4 days old, that's when we kind of start halter breaking our horses. This will give them an idea of, having motions around their head and around their face and around their body to, to become trusting of you, to make, for them to be comfortable and know that you're not going to hurt them. And you don't have to lead them around a lot the first couple of days, but enough to where they understand what you want. And the older that they get, the easier it becomes for them. According to Clinton Anderson, which is a famous horse trainer, and he also lives here in Stephenville. He's originally from Australia. You earn respect on the ground. There is a fine line in bridling your horse to do what you want and beating them into what you want. Both are not the right ways of doing it. You want to reward the horse for doing right. For example, letting him put a halter on for the very first time and standing there. You want to reward him for that so that he knows the next time that you go to halter him and to lead him off, that it's going to be okay. And the more, you reward them every single time. Now, if they happen to make a mistake, you teach them how to not make that mistake again. It's just some of the small process steps to into your next basic groundwork, and that's what we're going to talk about next. When starting groundwork, you want to start with your basics, getting your horse to move his feet and focus on you. When making the horse move their feet, you stimulate what they naturally do in a pasture with other horses. And getting them to move their feet off of your feet is a huge, it is something huge for us, especially when we go to ride. We want them to move off pressure, and we want them to move off pressure if we move them over with our hands or whatever we're doing. That pressure is a big thing, especially with horses. I have my space, you have your space, and you have to find that pressure point in between both of those. According to Buck Brannaman, also a professional horse trainer, to start you will be asking your horse to travel in a circle to the left, positioning yourself behind your horse's left shoulder and at least arm lengths away from his body. So this will help him when moving in a circle and you're asking him to move his hind end around. That's what this is pretty much doing when you're moving in a circle to the left. And he'll be on a halter when you're doing this. So you'll be leading him forward, but also asking him to move off of his hind end, which he'll cross end over end in the hind end. That's just kind of one of the basics to groundwork. There's many, many more forms of groundwork. I just want to kind of give you an idea of some of the things that we do. Now that we've discussed basic groundwork, let's discuss the saddling and riding stages. When putting a saddle on for the first time, you really have to be quiet on one. Letting them know what the object is about to go on their back is not going to hurt them. So this is kind of part of our desensitizing with horses. So we'll take a blanket, the blanket that goes on their back under the saddle, kind of rub around their neck, around their head, down by their feet, on their back to let them know that it's not going to hurt them. Once we get through that, put the saddle on, and you don't want to cinch it up too tight because that pressure might scare them more than anything. So once that you get through that, then you can go to doing more of your basic groundwork with the saddle on. After, working with your basic groundwork with the saddle on, that's when you can start the riding process. And you want to be quiet with that also, getting on and off both sides, and both sides, letting them know pressure and release on both sides. You want to get them to flex with you on top of them, teaching them to move off of your feet, the pressure and release on your feet. There's just a lot that goes into starting your first horse. But once you start the basics, everything else falls into place. I'm sure that's a lot to take in. There's a lot more to learn. In conclusion, there's a lot to take in, but starting with the basics is going to put you in the right path to a successful training on your horses. All of this are good basic steps, depending on what you're training your horse in to be, a cutting horse, a reining horse, a working cow horse, rodeo. Just all depends on that, the rider, and some of it takes longer than others. You know, some of them take 30 days to get going, some others take 60 days. It all depends on the person and what you're doing and how much time you take out of your day to work with these horses. But I feel that, you know, if horses is a passion for somebody, it's something to really get into. You know, having a horse as a pet is great, but being able to ride them and have that connection with them is also great too.